All right, so let's talk a little bit more about objects and the ways that we can access a property. We already saw this using the dot notation, but I also want to introduce you to the bracket notation. So I'm going to start with a very simple example here. I'm just going to go const person1, and let's set up our little curly braces here. And what I want to do inside here, just go, let's say first name and a colon, and let's say Sarah. So remember what I'm doing here. This first name is called the name or the key, okay? And this guy right here, this is the value, okay? So together, the association between this name or the key and this value is called a property. So then I'm going to put a comma, and I can just keep putting these guys in here. So I'm going to go something like last name, and let's say this person is Davis, and let's go age. Let's say she's 27. Let's say the job. Let's say this is doctor. And then let's say something like her state, where she lives. Let's say she lives in Texas. Okay. So for right now, we have our little object. Again, we've already seen that we can console.log. So console.log, and I'll go person1. And it's just going to basically use these curly brackets here and give me all this information. So let's go ahead and open up the terminal, run this guy, and you get exactly what we have, right? So inside your curly braces, you have the first name with Sarah, the last name with Davis, the age of 27, the job with doctor, and the state of Texas. So again, a very good way to have something that's descriptive is to use an object, right? If we put this information in an array, then basically you have to get it by its index or its order. Here I can grab things based on the property name. So for example, if I wanted to just grab her first name, then what I can do is use the dot, okay? So I can put person1, which is the name of the object, and then a dot, okay? And you see it's telling you all these different property names you have. So you can use the age, the first name, the job, the last name, the state, whatever you want. So let's grab state. And basically it's going to look up this right here, and it's going to give you the value back, okay? So the value there is Texas, so that's what we're going to see. So let's pop this open and clear this and run this, and you get Texas, okay? And of course you could use this to make a nice little sentence. Let's just do something really quickly, and we'll move on to the bracket notation. So let's say you put some backticks here, and you just put something like, I don't know, hi, I am, $ curly braces. We'll go person1 dot, and I'm going to go first name, okay? And I work as a $ curly braces. We're going to go person1 dot, okay? And we're going to use the job, okay? So basically, again, I have the object name, which is person1, the dot, okay, which is going to be the member access, and then basically you have the property name, okay, that you want to obtain the value for. So in this case, person1.firstname is going to give me Sarah, okay? In this case, person1.job is going to give me doctor. So this is going to say, hi, I am Sarah, and I work as a doctor. So let's pop this open and clear this and run this. We get, hi, I am Sarah, and I work as a doctor. And to make this complete, I should probably put a period here. We're going to be wiping this out in a second. So what I want to do now is talk a little bit about how you can do the same thing with the square brackets. There are cases where you're going to need to use the square brackets where you won't be able to use the basically dot there. So let me just get into this really quickly. So the first thing is I can replace, and let me just get rid of this altogether. I can replace this by going person1. I'm going to use square brackets here, and I want to put the property name in as a string. Okay, so using quotes, I want to put, let's say, job. Okay, so this is going to give me doctor again. So let's go ahead and clear this and run this. You get doctor. Now, if I misspell something here, let's say I put a capital J, this is going to give me undefined, right? So it's just like when you're working with variables, they're case sensitive. So there isn't anything in there in terms of property names that's job with a capital J. You have job with a lowercase j, but not with a capital J. So this will give me undefined. So clear this and run this, you get undefined. So basically, if you're looking for a property, okay, and it doesn't exist, you're going to get undefined. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about adding properties in. We saw this in the last section, but basically I just want to recap this really quickly. Once you've created an object, you can always put more things into the object, more properties. So let's say I go person1 dot, let's say something like has degree, and let's just set this equal to true. Okay, so at this point, I have added a property here with a name of has degree and a value of true. Okay, so it's just like if I typed in here, has degree, okay, and then I put true here. It's the same, right? So I just added it in. So what I can show you here, let's come down here, and I'm just going to console.log, and I'm going to go person1.has degree, okay, because it's already been added in, and we're just going to see true. Okay, so we're going to clear this and run this. We get true. And if you want to just look at the entire object now, okay, just to see that it's been added in, we can clear this and run this, and you see that you have the has degree here with true. Now, in some cases, you might be searching for something, right? And you don't know if it's there or not. So you can use the fact that undefined is a falsy value. Okay, so you could do a little if statement. So you can go if, let's say you did something like person1.isMarried, okay? So basically right now, there isn't anything where we have a property name with isMarried. So it's basically going to be undefined here. So this is going to be converted into false because undefined is a falsy value. So whatever's in here is going to get skipped. So if I put something like console.log and I'll put person1.isMarried, okay? But this is going to be skipped. So I come down here and put else in here and I'll put person1.isMarried. We'll set it equal to, let's say, unknown. And let's go down here, just console.log. So console.log, and I'll put something like person1.isMarried, okay? And let's go ahead and see this in the console. We'll see unknown, okay? So if we pop this open and run this, we get unknown. Now, of course, if you change this, let's say you came up here and put person1, let's use the square brackets. We put isMarried like this as a string, okay? Now, what's gonna happen is if I set this equal to, let's say, true, well, this guy right here, it's going to be true, right? Because it does have a value. It also says exactly true. And then we're going to console.log person1.isMarried, which is just true, okay? So we can just put clear this and run this, and you just get true, right? And it works the same if I were to put something like a string and just put something like yes, okay? Basically, this is not an empty string, so this is going to be truthy, and then this is going to run, and it's just going to give us yes. So let's clear this and run this, and we just get yes. Okay, so let's clear this out. There's some other reasons where you might want to use the bracket notation over the dot notation. So when you use the bracket notation, you can basically use an expression, okay? So this might come in handy if you're trying to look something up, or maybe you don't know what you need in the first place, so you have to wait for that value to come back. So let's just do something like const, I'm gonna go my job, and I'm gonna set this equal to, or actually let me make this my value, and I'm going to set this equal to job, okay, lowercase. So notice that this string right here matches this guy right here, this property name. Okay, so let's say that I want to use the dot notation, and I go console.log, and I go person1.myValue, okay? Do you think that it's going to look up basically this guy right here with this? It's not, right? So this is basically going to give you undefined. Because we're using the dot there, it basically looks for a property name of my value. It doesn't exist in here, so it's going to give you undefined. So let's go ahead and clear this and run this. You get undefined. If I was to change this over to the bracket notation, and let's say I put some quotes there, and I got to get rid of that dot, now it's going to work. So basically what's going to happen is, and I did mean to do that, it shouldn't be in quotes, so my value like this. What's going to happen here is first, JavaScript is going to say, do you have a variable called my value? So it does, and the value inside of there is job as a string. So it basically replaces this with job as a string. And we already know that if I put person1 here with square brackets with job as a string, it's going to find this and it's going to give me doctor. So let's go ahead and pop this open and clear this and run this, and you get doctor, okay? So another way you might want to use this, let's say you had all this information about all these people, and let's say somebody was searching through your app, and you don't know what they're going to search for. So maybe you're grabbing the value that they're searching for, holding it in a variable, and then you're going to use it here to reference it, right? So let's say we change this and we put something like the state. Well, even though I'm not now looking for something like the job, I've changed this to state, it's still going to work, right? I don't have to update this. And maybe this is in multiple places in my program where I want to do something. So let's go ahead and clear this and run this. You see it gives me Texas now. Now also, you're not confined to just one value like this. You could, let me just go ahead and wipe this out. You could do something like const, let's go my value, and let's set this to name, okay? And I'll put a capital N there because basically I want this part right here to match this part right here, right? So you see you have name with a capital N there and name with a capital N there. And basically what I'm going to do is build a little string, okay? So I'm going to go console.log, and let's do something like person1. I'm going to use my square brackets, and let's do some backticks first. And I'm going to go first, followed by, I'm going to go $ curly braces, my value. Okay. So let's think about what this is going to do. So my value, again, has name stored in it. So this is just going to give me a string first name. Okay. So this is just going to pull up Sarah. If we pop this open, clear this and run this, we get Sarah. And then another thing you could do, you just put a comma here. I'm going to put person1. And now let's do this the old way. I'm going to use some quotes here and put last. And then I'll use the plus for the string concatenation. And then I'm going to go my value. Okay, so this will also produce a string. This is going to be like if I typed last name in there. So it'll be person1 with last name as a string inside of the brackets. So let's go ahead and pop this open and clear this. And let's go ahead and run this. And you get Sarah Davis. Okay, so let's get rid of this. So far we've seen that we can use the bracket notation and we can use the dot notation. And you're probably wondering which one is better. Well, generally speaking, if you have the property name available to you, you want to just use the dot because it's just a little bit simpler, okay? But there are going to be instances where, again, you have to use the bracket notation. Another one is going to be if your property name basically is a string where you have a space in it or a hyphen or it starts with a number, something that violates the rules of naming variables, right? So let's say I put something in here and I'll do something like my space favorite space foods. Okay. If I collapse this down and basically remove the spaces, it would work fine. But as it is right now, if I want to name it this way, it's not going to work unless I put it inside of some quotes. So let's make this an array and let's just put some foods here. Let's do something like lasagna. Let's do maybe like pizza. And let's do, I don't know, let's something like tacos, okay? So again, it's lighting up on you. You already know this is not gonna work. So the way to fix this is to wrap this inside of some quotes and then it'll stop yelling at you. So let's come down here and let's console.log. We're gonna go person1 and then inside the square brackets, you wanna type this string out exactly. You see you can highlight it in Visual Studio Code. So I'm just gonna grab this guy right here. This is going to give me the entire array, right? So it's going to give me lasagna, pizza, and tacos. Let's go ahead and pop this open and clear this and run this. You get the whole thing. If you wanted an individual item here, you would just combine the square brackets here. So basically, if I have the whole array, if I want the first one, I would use 0. The second one, I'd use 1, so on and so forth. So let's just put 0 there. That's going to give me lasagna. So let's go ahead and clear this and run this, and you get lasagna. Now, if you tried to do this with, let's say, the dot notation, so let's get rid of this, okay? And let's put a dot here. You're going to see that this is not going to work, right? So if you do this and you clear this and run this, you see you get a syntax error unexpected string, okay? So you can only do this when you're using the brackets. And some of you might think it's because I'm putting this here and that doesn't affect anything, right? It's still going to light up when you give you an error. So you want to make sure that basically you're using the brackets when you have an expression that you need to work with, or if it's some kind of string like this. So if I had started with this with a number, or maybe there was a dash or hyphen in there or something like that, you would have to use the bracket notation. Now let's just go through and play around a little bit, just get a little practice. So the first thing is let's make a little for loop. So we'll just get a little practice with this. We're going to see the for each method here shortly, I promise. So for, we're going to go let I is equal to 0. We're going to say I is less than. So I want to go person1 dot, or actually here I actually need the brackets. So person1, and I need the my favorite foods, okay? So again, this is an array, and with an array, I have a length property. So I'm going to go dot length, okay? In this case, this is going to be 3. And then I'm going to go I++, and then all I want to do is just kind of loop through these guys and basically say something like console.log, some backticks, and I'll put my, let's go with a hashtag, and I'll go $ curly braces. I'm going to add 1 to I because it starts at 0. I want it to start at 1, so I plus 1. So we'll say something like my number 1 favorite food is, and then we'll go $ curly braces. We'll go person1, again with the brackets, and then my favorite foods, and then we're going to put I there. And I missed that. So we're going to put I right there. Okay, so let's stop and think about what this is going to do. So basically, this is going to loop through this array right here, right, where we have lasagna, pizza, and tacos. So we have my, in the first instance, I is 0, so it's going to be 1. So my number 1 favorite food is person1, okay? We're looking up this guy right here, which is this array that's highlighted, and we have I. So if it starts at 0, it's going to give me lasagna. Then it's going to say my number 2 favorite food is, in this case, pizza. Then my number 3 favorite food is tacos. Okay, so let's pop this open, and let's go ahead and clear this, and let's run this now. And you see we get exactly that. So my number 1 favorite food is lasagna, my number 2 favorite food is pizza, and my number 3 favorite food is tacos. Okay, so let's combine all these things together and just make one long string and basically just get some practice with what we're doing here. So I'm first going to maybe add something else in. So I could go person1 dot, let's say likes, and let's make this an array with 3 items. So let's do something like, I don't know, maybe she likes shopping. Maybe she likes running. And then let's do something like Netflix. Okay. So let's just make a long little string here. I'm going to console.log and I'm just going to put something in here like, hi, I am, and we'll reference her basically first name. So let's do person1.firstname. So person1.firstname. And then we'll go $ curly braces, person1. Let's use brackets. So we'll do last name. Just change things up so we get a little bit of practice working with each. And I'll put a period here. And maybe we start a new line. We'll say something like I am. We'll use the age now. So let's go $ curly braces, person1.age. So I am this many years old. And I live in, we'll go $ curly braces, person1. Let's use the brackets. And we'll go state. Okay. And then maybe we'll do another new line and we'll talk about her favorite foods now. And I messed this up. So this should be outside of here. Let's do something like I'm going to use the length of the favorite foods. So I'm going to go person1 and then I needed the $ curly braces. So $ curly braces, person1. And I'm going to inside of brackets, go my favorite foods. Again, this is an array. So I have dot length. So in this case, it would say I have 3 and I'll put favorite foods. My favorite is, you're going to do the same thing. So person1, let me scroll down a little bit. So person1, and then you have your inside of quotes, my favorite foods, and then I'm going to put 0. Okay. So basically at this point, the only other thing you would want to add in here would maybe be the likes that we just put up there. So I just put this in here, the person1.likes, and maybe we'll just start a new line for that and do something like my favorite activity is $ curly braces. We'll go person1, we'll go .likes, and then we'll use 0. Okay. And that's good enough. I mean, you can play around with this on your own if you want. Just trying to do something to give you some practice working with the dot notation and also the bracket notation. So let's go ahead and pop this open and clear this. And let's run this. We get, hi, I am Sarah Davis. I am 27 years old and I live in Texas. I have 3 favorite foods. My favorite is lasagna. My favorite activity is shopping.